Chris, when you first came on and activated, what did you wish you had could go back and tell yourself activation plus day one? So first property, went through the experience of the sales process, converted the first property, we're going live. You can go back and sit on your shoulder. Like, what was the most important parts that you're like, I wish I knew?
That's pretty easy. If you're talking about at activation of the first property,
Yep.
if I could go back to that particular day, I would just talk about like the professional community and house meetings. That's by far the most important. The content that you gave me about community and professional community and house meetings is by far more important than anything else. Like, I barely know how to use the website more than I did, but that's not that important compared to how to get people to get along and act professionally.
Let's get into the intent of your business. How do you want to build community, the culture of it? But you went first culture and then mechanicals behind.
Yeah, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I'm just going to reemphasize, I think the culture is more important than the mechanicals. That's
Yeah.
number one. Number two, I already had most of the mechanicals. I had nothing related to the culture even crossed my mind. I would say if I could give someone only one of those two, I would give them culture in a heartbeat.
And it's interesting because in the ecosystem of co-living, there are two camps that are out there. Rooms are the asset, fill the rooms. And then there's the other camp that's out there that says, this is community living. How do you cultivate the community inside the house? And those historically have been bifurcated. And only recently, I think we're seeing this trend of how do we get the best of both is like we have systems with an intentional culture and oh crap, look at the output, which is happy tenants that stay longer and they're talking about it. I am 100% in agreement with you that is the winning formula for how to maximize revenue in a co-living property is
And problems, take care of your physical asset. I mean, solves so many problems. If people like get along and are respectful of each other in the property, I mean, that solves so many problems. It's well worth it to buy cleaning supplies, buy pizza every now and then, have meetings. It's well worth it for all that.
why do you think that is? Like,
Because people are emotional. If the members are there and they don't care, everyone's experience is going to be worse and they're not going to be there as long. But if people care about a community, then everything's going to be better. If they care about the property, if they care about the people, then everything's going to work better.
we have enough life experience to understand that is actually the truth.
Exactly.
Because think about this, how many people we talk to, hey, do you think I should put a TV or a mini fridge or LED lights up? And I'm like, it's not the amenity that's going to make somebody stay if the house is full of jackholes. Right?
And one thing I heard decades ago was the number one indicator of job satisfaction is the people.
Yeah.
You can have almost any job, and if you love the people, you'll love going to work. You can have almost any job, and if you hate the people, you're going to hate going to work. And it's the same thing with co-living. If you love your people, that's going to be by far the most important thing.
I agree 100. Look at that. That's a daily nugget of the day. But that sure makes a lot of difference, and it's for whatever reason people backed into that. And I think your point was a really good one, is that you already had the mechanical systems. You just didn't have the heart.
Right, because I've never had to do that before.
Yeah.
I started in contract for deed, which is the most detached. Like you meet the buyer once and you shake hands and you do your thing and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you almost never interact with them again. And then, I started an Airbnb, and then Airbnb, like I had managers that took care of it, so I didn't really do that either. And then we did shared housing Airbnb, and the managers were still doing that. So when I got to PadSplit, I was like, oh, well, I'll have managers do that too. But it's different because like people stay longer, potentially.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I was trying to think about like who else is doing a better job aggregating the demand that I want. Whenever we talk about like purpose-built houses, like that's ultimately what we're trying to solve for there. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a couple differences. And like in the grand scheme of things, I don't have that much experience because we only have a few houses in a particular type of neighborhood. So it's not like there's a breadth of things. But like one of the houses, this house I'm talking about that we're renovating, it's been at 100% occupancy for 2 years, and it's just vacancy. Like, so we're doing the renovations now real quick, 2 years later. And then this other one we have is I think it's been at least more than half occupied for sure for the entire 2 years, and there's not been less than half full since then.
What class neighborhood?
It is a like B class neighborhood,
Okay,
or
like regular.
is the kind of house that we're talking about possibly getting. So I have two of those actually. They're both in like the 400s. So it is like B plus type neighborhood.
Got it.
Hard to buy one now and be profitable with what we're making, but because they were some of the first houses we bought, we have mortgages from before 2020.
Right, right. This would be a creative finance acquisition, so I can pick up a 3 or 4% interest rate.
If you can do that, then I mean that would be, yeah. I've done that twice so far. We just did it about 2 months ago. We got one at I think oh yeah, it was 2.99%. I mentioned it
Yeah,
a month
yeah, yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's a 2019 mortgage.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, no, if you can do that, I mean, if you can, I mean, those are going to be hard to come by, but if you can get one, then absolutely, I would definitely do that.
That's my venture to test into Airbnb was I need to go back in time for the financing. So if I can go back to pre 2022, I think was the benchmark for me was like sub 5, right? So if
Yeah.
I can get 4 and change and anything below it, the only way to do that is acquire sub 2, and then whatever the differential in cost is for whatever the entry cost is. But like, and then that allows me to get into 350, 450, 550 houses that I can do this version of higher end co-living.